I'm so excited to show you this Magic Weave scarf. All one piece. It's the perfect combination of this super soft alpaca yarn along with this woven technique. I'm gonna show you how to use a stretchy cast-on to cast on. We're gonna knit it all one piece. It's all woven together, and I'll show you how to do that, along with we're gonna bind off in pattern, keeping everything in sync. Let's get started. First, we're gonna talk about supplies. For this scarf, we're using the Barocco Ultra Alpaca Chunky yarn, and it is so soft and fluffy. I absolutely love it. It's a number 5 bulky, if you're familiar with that system. It also comes in these amazing heathered colors, super beautiful. So we have the kits available at onebaghappy.com, and in this time in the kit, you get the yarn, the pattern, and the needles. Oh yeah. They also make great hair holders. These are US 10 and a half. That's what size they are, US 10 and a half. And they're straight needles, great for beginners. This project is also a great transitional, like you've got the basics down, let's try something a little bit different. Great for that kind of step up in your knitting knowledge. So let's just get into knitting. Okay, now one thing before you cast on, you'll have to wind your yarn into a ball. You can't knit straight from that hank, but we do have a video. We'll put a link up there that'll show you how to get it from a hank into a ball. Okay, so we are going to be doing a special cast on. I want to take a moment here to talk about the beginning and the end of this project kind of at the same time, why I chose this cast on. I want to show you on the finished scarf right here. So let me show you the cast on. This is the Stretchy Cast-On. Look how beautiful that is. Now I chose that cast on for this project because I also am going to be showing you how to bind off in pattern. Now look at that bind off. They match, and on this scarf it just worked out perfectly. So that's why I'm kind of talking about beginning and end right at the same time, but I'll go over that when we get there. We're going to cast on using a stretchy cast on. So let's cast on. We're going to first make a slip knot. And you don't really need to worry about how long your tail is. Just leave it long enough so you'll weave it in at the end. We're going to slide that up there. Now, this is the stretchy cast on. We're going to wrap it around our index finger, go through this area right here and around, and then just pop that loop right onto your needle. So, index finger, go through and around, pop that on. Now, I also want to point out when you're pulling this, you want to make sure that your stitches on your needles stay a consistent space apart. You want to keep this area consistent between each stitch. So around and on. And I like to hold them with my index finger to kind of hold them in place right there when I go. And I hold, like I've got 3 stitches that I'm pressing down on with my index finger to keep that tension on this needle. You don't have to, but I've found that really comforting for me. I'm casting on 32 stitches. Okay, so I've got 32 stitches on my needle. Are you happy with that? Happy? Okay, now we're going to go to row 1 of this pattern. And I'm going to go slow for the first couple of stitches, but guys, it's so simple. And if you do have any problems with this, we have a stitch support video on how to knit and purl, and we'll put a link to our stitch support area up above so you can click on that. But really, we're just knitting and purling all the way across. Okay, so we're going to knit the first stitch and then purl. I do want to point out, with the stretchy cast on, you don't have like the base stitches that you would normally have with the long tail cast on. So they are a little different as far as tension goes. If you find that when you've cast on, you're just fighting with your knitting, you're like, "Ugh," and you can't get it through, feel free to use a larger size needle for that cast on and then go back to the 10 and a half for the regular knitting. But you should be okay. Just remember to keep your stitches consistent when you're casting on and err on the side of making them a little loopier than a little tighter. So you may find that you get this strand of yarn between your 2 needles when you're knitting your first row. That's normal. Don't worry about it, because what's going to happen when you go into this stitch and pull, it cinches that up. So I don't worry too much about that. That is actually what gives it that stretchy effect, so that it'll match the bind off that we're doing. So that's normal, natural. Don't worry about it. It will work its way into your project. So I'm going to go all the way across here till I get to the last stitch. And I'm continuing knit 1, purl 1. Okay, so I've got a knit. Now my last stitch, what I'm going to do is bring my yarn to the front and slip this last stitch. Now the reason for this is so that I have a nice edge on the edge of my scarf, and also too I'm bringing the yarn to the front so that when I turn my needle, it's already in place for the stitch on this side of my work. If I had left the yarn in back when I slipped that last stitch and then I turned and started knitting with it, it would wrap around that last stitch, and the whole purpose of this is to have a nice smooth edge. So bring your yarn to the front, slip that last stitch, and then now we're ready to go. Now you're going to continue on. The pattern will give you the precise instructions and length and everything that you need, but I want to jump in and show you the section of how we start to weave these pieces together. So I have a little sample here that I'm going to show you. This is what we're going to be showing you how to do. This is built into the scarf. This is the section inside of the scarf right here on the first half of the scarf as we're going along. So what we have to do is, how are we going to knit these strips? Well, I'm going to show you. Each strip is knit individually, and then they're joined back together on the other side. So how we do that is the first section is 11 stitches. You follow in pattern, so there's knit 1, purl 1 for 11 stitches. Okay, so I've got, let's see here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On this section right here, I've knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is my 11th stitch. I'm going to slip this because this is a knit stitch. When I turn it around, now my yarn is ready for a purl, and I'm going to purl. And now that looks better on that end. Okay, and it's in the pattern, so just go ahead. You're going to work this whole strip for the length that you need it. I'm just going to do one more here and then pop over to show you what you do next. Okay. These. Yarn in front. I did that. Okay. Muscle memory. Okay, now we're going to turn it over. So let's imagine that I've knit that whole strip like I showed you on the example. So here's where I'm at. I knit this whole strip. What I'm going to do at this point is just take these 11 stitches off my needle and onto some scrap yarn to hold it. If you have a stitch holder, we have those too. You can slide it onto there. But I just use a piece of scrap yarn, preferably a different color so that you don't lose it. And it's just as simple as threading your tapestry needle and then sliding these onto it. These are going to, this scrap yarn is going to hold these 11 stitches. And because this is bulky yarn, it makes it so much easier to find your stitches later. They just stay there. Okay, so I've slipped these off. I'm going to just tie these together however you want. This will come off later. So tie those together. That's going to hold those safe. Now I need to break the yarn or cut the yarn that's coming from this section because I need to use it for the next section. I like to leave it a little bit longer. It's easier to weave in when I'm done. So let's cut that yarn and let it hang there. Now I'm going to be doing the middle section. There's 10 stitches in the middle section. Starts with a purl stitch because we ended with a knit stitch. So I'm going to make a loop. And this is a little different than some, but this is how I prefer to start out with new yarn on a purl stitch. I have my needle in like I'm going to purl. I make the loop. I wrap it around. And then I pull it in like I'm knitting. Now I wrap everything behind, the tail and the working yarn behind the needle, and knit into the next stitch and let that tail hang in the back of my work instead of in front of my work. It's a personal preference, but it works really well to keep it nice and tidy. And then I'm back to my knit one, purl one for 10 stitches. And let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's my 10th stitch. Make sure that's, yeah, okay. Sorry, I have to look at it. It says in your pattern, but I'm not looking down at the pattern. Okay, so yes, yarn in back, slip that last stitch, turn it, and now your first stitch is a purl stitch. You've already got your yarn in front like this, and you're just gonna purl that. It'll wrap right around, but it gives you a nice smooth edge by doing that. So let me show you that again. I've got my yarn in front, but it's like after that first stitch. Just go ahead and purl that stitch. It'll find its way around, and then you knit. Now you'll continue back and forth just like you did on that first section. Put those stitches on a stitch holder, pick up, knit the third section, put those stitches on a stitch holder. Then what you want to do at that point is take all of your stitches that you have being held with the scrap yarn, just slide those all onto one needle and just start knitting again. Yeah, I just told you guys how to knit each of the strips. When you're done with that, it's going to look something similar like this, where you have each of your 3 pieces. Then you just go ahead and you slide it onto your needle and then continue knitting on. You'll go all the way through. If you want 2 colors, it'll tell you when to switch colors, or you can keep it all one color like this one. Now, once you finish all that, you're going to come to your second half of the scarf where we're going to work on the weaving part of it. You'll do this again, and the pattern will tell you when and where, and you'll do this again. So just for visual, let's see, this is the peanut butter, and this is the jelly, just like this. So at this point, this is where the magic happens, okay? So there's peanut butter and jelly, just like that, okay? So you have all of these on scrap yarn. Before you put this portion back on your needle, you want to make the magic happen. This is the magic of the magic weave. Now, the main part of this is that you have the weave. So you're going to have 1 over, under, over, 1 under, over, under, like that, the weave pattern. Keep in mind this scarf is reversible, so if you want your checkerboard pattern to have jelly on the corners, you can wear it one way. You flip it over and you have peanut butter on the corners. So it's reversible, looks the same on both sides other than that weave pattern. Okay, so here's what I've done. I wove them together. Now I've got my ends here. These are all the ones that were secured with the scrap yarn. Now, this is where I think, okay, slide my needle. we want to slide it this way because this is the right side of our fabric. So we want to pick up all of our stitches going across this way. Super simple. Just take your scrap yarn out. And like I said, this is bulky yarn. The stitches are so large that it is just super easy to slide right through here. All the way across. Pull that out. Go to your next section. And I left my scrap yarn in as I put them on my needle, just as like a safety thing, but do what works best for you. If you feel that you're getting tangled up in your scrap yarn, you can pull it out one at a time, but they're bulky, they're staying there in place. There's that one. And, oh, this one I actually tied in a knot. So I've got these all on my needle. I'm pulling out my last bit of scrap yarn. Now guess what we do here? We just start knitting. Well, the knit purl, but we just add in our yarn, just like this. Go across, knit one, purl one, knit one. All this talk about peanut butter and jelly. Happy, you want to have peanut butter and jelly? PB&J. We're going to go ahead and go all the way across and knitting and purling. As you do this, these that are separated will now come together, just like what we did, on the first half of the scarf. Continue on, follow the pattern directions, and then you're going to be ready to bind off. It's that easy. All right, I'm going to keep going, and then once I get this on here, I'll show you how we bind off in pattern. Okay, so on my little sample here, I'm going to show you how we bind off in pattern. So we've been working a rib pattern of knit one, purl one. We're going to continue with that. So I'm going to knit my first stitch, purl my second stitch, and then I'm going to lift that first stitch up and over and bind it off. Now my next stitch is a knit stitch. So I'll knit that, lift this up and over, bring my yarn to the front because I'm going to purl, and lift that up and over. Now at this point, I go ahead and just move my yarn to the back because I need it clear so I can lift this up and over, and then I'm ready to knit that next stitch up and over. Now I bring it forward for the purl stitch. And then it becomes muscle memory, but it's kind of just an emotion. As I'm pulling that stitch off, I bring my yarn to the back. It's just muscle memory on that part. And then knit and pull it off. I'll show you that again on this purl stitch. I purl it and then just like that. And then lift it up and over. You do this all the way across, then you cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and block. And one of the things I want to talk about weaving in the ends. I'm going to set this down here for just a second. Take a moment to show you weaving in the ends. As you see right here on my little sample, I knit everything to the pattern. Before it's blocked, everything is kind of in its place. When you're blocking, your stitches change a little bit in size. At this point, let me put these side by side. This is blocked. Of course, this is not blocked because we just knit it. They move around a little bit as you wear your scarf. If you don't like this looseness here, when you're weaving in your ends, you'll find you have them at each of your junctions. You can go ahead and maybe tack it up a little bit here, and over here, and that will cinch that up a little bit if you want a tighter weave. I like mine like this. I think it's nice and loose and comfy, but that's just another option. It's up to you. It's knitter's choice. But that is the Magic Weave Scarf, and I appreciate you joining me for this tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. If you still need to get the kit, it's at onebighappy.com. And remember, this kit also includes the needles. So it's the needles, the pattern, and the yarn. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Happy knitting. Bye, Happy.